Do the show under the savage. But Andre, are you ready? Cause he got a smile. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
he's like, you know why I'm on.
Let me
He's
see. You got
like,
the Hitman. You got the Hitman shades or what? Let me see.
he got the
Yo.
shades on.
Um,
Woo.
so you guys are gonna be like, what the fuck when I give you my answer?
All right.
In the main event for this fantasy booking, we're gonna have Bret Hart versus Sting.
Hey, hey, I'm going first. I'm going effing first right now. All right. My fantasy booking, my effing fantasy booking. We going to TNA. I don't care. Ain't no
Damn
W.
it.
We're going to TNA. Bret Hart goes to TNA. All right. 2006. Bret Hart, healthy. Vince, I'm in great shape. I've been inducted to the Hall of Fame. We on good terms. I want to come back. I want X amount of dollars. Nope, we ain't doing that. I don't write those kind of checks no more. And plus, you haven't been active. All right, what if I go to TNA and, you know, work something out with them and bring my stock value up? Yeah, if you could do that, you could bring, yeah, do that. Cool. Go do your thing. Cool. Go do my thing. Fast forward, 2007, Bret Hart versus Sting in the main event at Bound for Glory, right? Is that what I got?
Yeah.
No, sorry, 2000 and
No.
yes, 7. 7. 2007, Bound for Glory, Atlanta. WCW days. You feel me? For the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. That night at Bound for Glory, Kurt Angle makes his WWE, oh my gosh, his TNA debut. Kurt Angle makes his TNA debut in the opening show. Main event, Bret Hart, Sting. Sting is the World Heavyweight Champion. Bret Hart takes the title. We go on to the next pay-per-view, Genesis 2007. We're going to Texas, baby. Main event once again, Sting versus Bret Hart. Now, as the producer, as the booker, this match, I'm gonna tell them, hey, that match, I want a friendly competition. Bound for Glory, I want a Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. I want that Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan feud. You know, you guys were like good friends, old friends. You guys are facing again. The last time you guys faced each other was Halloween Havoc or whatever it was. You know, that's the only one, my favorite match I know. Um, Genesis is more of a friendly competition because we got Booker T as the special guest enforcer, or yes, referee, whatever. After that, Bret Hart gets the win. Bret Hart gets the win. Kurt Angle attacks Booker T with an angle slam. Bret Hart is in the ring apron or ring like on the stage already, looking back. He's trying to, because this is Houston, Texas. This is Booker T's town. Booker T. So the moment they have made the official match, Booker T is gonna be the special guest oh my gosh, guest referee. See, I'm hyping myself up. So
Hype.
the pay-per-view, it has been announced. Booker T has signed with TNA. Bret Hart, again, friendly competition with Sting. This is your moment. You sign with TNA. I'm leaving. Kurt Angle comes in. Angle slam. Kurt Angle had a match with Samoan Joe, Christian Cage. I don't care. Next pay-per-view. What's my next pay-per-view? God damn it. Turning Point is my next pay-per-view, or Final Revolution. I'm gonna go with Final Revolution if I could change the pay-per-view. Final Revolution. We're gonna go to Canada, Montreal, Bret Hart's hometown, the Trinity. Bret Hart versus Sting once again for the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Bret Hart locks in that sharpshooter. Sorry, before I got a little too excited. Bret Hart gets attacked backstage. There's a bat laying next to him. Hey, Sting, what's up with that? I didn't do that, bro. Well, I didn't do that. Why would I do that? We had a friendly competition. I admit, I've been admitting to you. I'm Sting, bro. I'm the icon Sting. I'm okay losing to you. You're Bret Hart. Why would I attack you? Well, I feel like you're trying to set me up. I'm not. You're getting in my head because we're going to my hometown, my home country. I know I feel like you're playing my games. I'm not, but okay. You think I am? Fine. I'm tired of being blamed. Let the mind games begin. Plays the mind games. Bret Hart locks in that sharpshooter, right?
Yeah.
Somebody comes in through the fans, jacking and everything with a bat. Pop! Hit Bret Hart with it. Pulls the hoodie, and there's none other than Kurt Angle.
Ooh. Okay.
Kurt Angle grabs Sting. 1, 2, 3. Sting is the new World Heavyweight Champion. We just screwed Bret Hart. Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, first time ever, turning point. And then obviously I understand, it's just about Sting and Bret Hart, but I gotta let you know why I'm doing this, because the Trinity with Kurt Angle and Bret Hart, it's gonna lead to Lockdown. Why Lockdown? Because it takes place in April, around the same time WrestleMania 2008. Around the same time, Ric Flair was about to retire.
Ooh, okay.
So now you have another guy like Ric Flair who could go to TNA. Instead of just retiring, continue with the story of jumping ships, like, because you already had Christian Cage, you had Bret Hart, you had Kurt Angle, to work a relationship of, hey, Vince, I need more money. Well, instead of screwing me, like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall did, and Bret Hart in the past, just go to TNA, see if you can make some money, and then we could talk later. Sign a short-term deal. They only do 1 or 2 years. If you could bring them money, then we could talk. And also gives them a break from that full-time WWE schedule. And then we could have guys like Eddie Guerrero still around. So, but yeah, that would be my Trinity with Bret Hart. Bret Hart gets the first 2 wins at Bound for Glory and Genesis. And then Turning Point / Final Revolution will be Sting getting the final win. He'll be winning his TNA World Heavyweight title. And this kind of turns the main event Mafia, because Kurt Angle helps Sting and and then Bret Hart starts the whole Bret Hart of like, did Vince send you? Kurt, be honest, because it's kind of coincidence that you're here. So that would be my booking. Ooh, I feel so great saying that.
Let me go next. You know why though? Because I literally wrote TNA wrestling for this.
All right, go ahead.
So so I'll be a little bit different. For me, I would start the feud in 09. So this is like the prime time of main event Mafia. So at this time, I would make him debut at Against All Odds. I think it was in February, right? 2009.
Yeah.
Where he's like introduced as a special guest. Like for like the TNA people, TNA company, the company of TNA. He comes out, and then Sting comes out just because it's an old friend. They're probably all friends in WCW. Like, hey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. And Brad's like, hey, I never got that match against you that I really wanted. I think they never faced each other in WCW, right? Maybe once. I think for the world title.
For who?
Bret Hart and Sting.
For the WCW title, I don't recall, but like for the United States title, yes.
Okay, so for me at Against All Odds, it'll be more like, hey, we never had that match 1-on-1. So it's like kind of like a welcome to Bret Hart, like, hey, welcome to join us to the show. But then they kind of confront Sting like, hey, you never really had a match with me, like for that world title or a world title. Like, okay, you want to go? Like, let's do it. But you go to right away to Destination X. That's more of an X Division title, but they still kind of like are friendly terms. But eventually, Bret Hart turns heel against Sting. He attacks him several times. And then at Lockdown, that's the first match because it's a steel cage match. I would still have Sting go over, winning like cleanly, but like still kind of like Bret Hart's like, well, this doesn't count because it was a steel cage. I want to beat you in the ring with I want to do a sharpshooter on you. Until I hit a sharpshooter, that's when I'll leave this company.
So that sounds like Bret Hart. It's like,
yeah,
it's not a technical wrestling match. It's a steel cage. It's a gimmick match. It doesn't really count.
So it's like kind of for him. It's like that's kind of like the storyline. Like the storyline is that the only way Bret Hart will ever leave TNA is if he beats Sting with the sharpshooter, right? So they keep going the feud. They go to Sacrifice this time. Around this time, it's Sting has a separate storyline with the Man in Mafia thing. They're turning blood, like bad against each other. In my storyline, there's still kind of bad blood with them, but at Sacrifice, they go ahead and screw over Sting. So Bret Hart takes over and does a sharpshooter to Sting and beats him at Sacrifice. But like I said, he says I won't leave until I do the sharpshooter on you, but he lies like no, because he joins the Main Event Mafia at that time. So this is like a month earlier before Sting actually was out of Main Event Mafia, but my storyline, it's in May, not in June. So at Sacrifice, the Main Event Mafia turns on Sting, and Bret Hart gets that sharpshooter on him, but he's like, I'm gonna stick around because I want to be around Kurt Angle and stuff. So it's like, okay, so it's now a Main Event Mafia with Bret Hart versus Sting, and some of the younger guys. But at the end of the day, now it's Slammiversary. I think it's still in Michigan at this point. Bret Hart's like, no, Sting is like, if I beat you, you got to leave. This is my company. You had your time. Because by 2009, Bret Hart was already older. Like, he's really old. He's older.
Everybody was older.
Everybody was older. So at this point, 2009 Slammiversary, Sting goes ahead and actually beats Bret Hart with his own sharpshooter. But like in kind of like the Montreal Screwjob kind of finish because they wanted him out, but it was actually like kayfabe because we know. But they're like, he's like, you know what? No, like it's over right there. Don't come back, and then that's kind of it, for Bret Hart. So it's kind of like it ends at Slammiversary, but it ends with like a Montreal.
You don't like Bret Hart.
I do.
No, you don't. You just buried Bret Hart.
Well, I don't know, man. For me, it's like. At this point, because he was a heel, like Bret Hart's the heel, so I'm like he doesn't get like the good way out.
You in retirement matches too.
I don't know, man, because all these guys are retired. So like it was like Gunther, like don't retire.
But in fantasy booking, it's like if it's fantasy booking. Why are they still old in your fantasy booking?
I don't know, because at some point they gotta. For me, it's all like they gotta go with a wisp, with a whimper, with a bang, with a bang, with a whimper.
It seems like if you sign Bret Hart, it's like, hey, Bret Hart, I'm only signing you just for a retirement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool, but like, is that what you would do if you were in control?
Sting? Yeah, because then you also give like Sting a chance to, like still be the face of the company. Because I think
nothing's wrong with that because it makes sense. If you're gonna bring like a guy like Bret Hart, you have to honestly sit down and be like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
At that time, because Bret Hart, hey, let's not pretend. Bret Hart could still go. Bret Hart was working house shows in 2010 with the Hart Dynasty. Let's not pretend that guy cannot go. He could still go.
Move guys around. He just wasn't taking bumps.
That was it. He couldn't. Same thing with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Edge, and Big E. They could still go. They just can't take bumps.
Yeah,
it's that.
True.
So Bret Hart at 08 and 09, he could go.
And the funny thing is, Steve was told not to take bumps, and he was still taking them.
Yeah. That
tuck your
suplex on the
chin.
outside. Yeah.
Tuck your chin. That's all you got to do. But the problem is his timing.
I think that's why Steve was saying that CT was bullshit on the Vince McMahon documentary. Because he says concussions are concussions. Look how many I went through. I had a neck broken.
Kurt Angle too.
Yeah. That's my fantasy
booking. Man, that was a good that was good fantasy booking, but yours pissed me off, man. Yours was like
sometimes you gotta piss people off,
Screw Bret Hart. It's just like And Goldberg
best-
too,
hey.
retirement. It was
Hey,
like screw
hey.
these old
Hey, man.
people.
He's pretty much saying the best there wasn't.
Yeah, the
No,
best
but
there was,
I mean,
regardless about
he's-
his
He
age.
still got to win though. He still got to win in mine. Goldberg got
best
no
there
wins.
was.
Goldberg got no wins in it. You know, at least Bret Hart got a win in one of my matches. You know,
Andre, go. I don't even know. Andre, do you like Bret Hart?
you don't have to stick with TNA. You could do something different. But...
God damn. And you use TNA too.
Well, I wrote it down like TNA wrestling. He's gonna go after
First
the
of
World
all,
Heavyweight title.
Destination X at that time, it was all limits. The whole limit thing
really?
started at 11.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to Eric Bischoff. Screw that.
I would, for my fantasy booking, I'll still keep Destination X like a X division thing. So 2009 for me was still X division.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But God, poor Bret Hart. God damn. I know what part of the episode I'm skipping. God damn.
Wow. Watch it.
I just shitted on Bret Hart.
At the time,
All
you're
right.
watching like, what are you watching?
All right, Andre, go ahead.
All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, Bret stays babyface from the moment he signs. And you know that Nitro segment he had with Ric Flair, where Ric Flair called his ass out to say, I want you to say you're the best with me in the ring.
Damn.
That doesn't happen until his heel turn. Because it doesn't make sense that Ric Flair's calling out another top babyface that at the time was not in the NWO, was not a heel yet. Let that happen when Bret turns heel. So he'll have a good 1998 of babyface matches. He's going to have matches against Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, everybody from the Clique. Before he's the one who beats X-Pac before X-Pac leaves. So that he's the first person to be buried from the Clique.
Damn.
That's like a fuck you to HBK for DX.
Wow.
Because eventually he joins DX, right? But that's like a big fuck you to the Clique because the Clique was who he was pushing all of 1996. That was HBK's world title tour going to be. It's him and his friends, and that's why he tried getting Bret to join the Clique. So he would say, I'm willing to have a match with you. But the moment that Bret told Shawn, I'm not joining the Clique, that was when Bret was not a favorite in Shawn's eyes anymore. That's when he was already saying, I'm not going to put him over. I'm not going to drop the title back to him. So this is Bret's big fuck you to the Clique and a big fuck you back to Vince because eventually Shawn's already leaving for the WWF. His contract had ended, and they already know he was going back. So he starts beating all the guys from the NWO, but he beats the guys that are not getting that much attention, the ones who are not in the mid card. He'll eventually get to Hogan after he drops the title to Goldberg. And then he starts turning heel little by little because the fans are like, oh, okay, we've seen this Bret side already.
Yeah.
Let's come on, don't just be the good, jolly Bret Hart anymore that's just saving everybody. Be the Bret Hart we liked. So instead of it being Scott Hall that tasers Goldberg, let it be Bret.
Ooh, okay. Let him cook.
But you never booked them against each other. You never booked them, like I said. You never booked them until later on in life. So and the first person to call him out on it is going to be that's in 1999 instead of 1998, Ric Flair. That's a rivalry between Rick and Bret that's going to build Bret up. And because Bret finally gets his wins over Rick that never got televised. Remember, you could only watch that house show if you watch it on YouTube. It wasn't televised when he dropped the title to Bret before he left. So now you get to have the rivalries recorded live in front of everybody. Nitro or pay-per-view with Ric Flair. He finally beats him on the third outing, and at this point, Ric Flair is going to call on a guy that he trusts, even though he was part of the NWO. The guy that always made Ric Flair better, Sting. So now you don't have black and red Sting anymore. Now you have black and white Sting. He comes back out of the NWO. He convinces him after the NWO turned on him through Lex Luger. Remember, Lex is the one that turned on Sting and
This
took over.
this era was Sting was more vocal, right?
Right.
And Lex Luger was more of the total package
Right.
at this time. Okay. Just trying to picture it.
So Sting gets his babyface turned back around because he got kicked out of the NWO. Instead of it being Paul White that has him turn on the NWO and faces him, it's Rick that's recruiting him to be back on the good guy side to take out Bret, because Bret's now becoming a threat. And instead of Bret joining the NWO, he starts recruiting all of the Canadian wrestlers that are in WCW that were in the Stu Hart's dungeon. So Jim,
We can hear the anger out of your voice.
Bulldog, before he goes back to the WWF, maybe he even stays in WCW and doesn't get that shitty run. And especially now, after the Over the Edge, Bret is recruiting all the Stu Hart graduates. Jericho, Benoit, Kurt Hennig, who did eventually join then he got recruited. All of the Canadians that were forced to stay mid card. Everybody that joined was is now part of the new
the new Canada order.
You don't call it the Hart Foundation. You call it the Dungeon Dynasty.
Oh, that's gonna go.
The new Canada order.
And in the meantime, Jericho is appreciative of what Bret Hart's doing, but he's also trying to convince him backstage, dude, let's go back to the WWF because WCW is sinking. It's not doing well. And the ones that are trying to salvage it are
on camera?
No, I'm talking about backs because Bret, at that time, Jericho's already fed up with WCW after that whole shitty WCW television title run. Rufus is getting more, is getting more of a pop than he is, attention than he is. So it's like, what the fuck's the point of me being not? It's like this is showing that WCW is a joke. So behind the scenes, he's trying to convince Bret to go back. Hey, Shawn's gone. He's not there anymore. Maybe you could patch things up to go back and then at that time, Bret's like, dude, we have something good going on. I'm creating a Canadian stable again.
So Bret's trying to convince Chris Jericho to stay.
So then he adds that to the storyline. Not the leaving WCW, but he adds what he didn't like about Jericho at that moment as a way to kick him out of Team Canada. So he involves him in the Sting match. And Jericho is now coming to the ring with him the way that Rufus was going to Jericho. So that you eliminate the whole Rufus thing. You give Jericho a proper cruiserweight title reign, and he's Bret Hart's next guy. And because he's not listening to him, he costs him the match against Sting. Bret then costs him the cruiserweight title to Juventud. And he has Team Canada attack him and kick him out. This way, Jericho leaves for the summer, and now he joins the World Wrestling Federation. You keep that going because that's eventually what leads to all the WCW guys going to the WWF. One Wall, the Radicals. So eventually, little by little, you start kicking the guys out of Team Dungeon because they're costing Bret matches. But so it's a Great American Bash where he kicks out Jericho. He has the U.S. title run because the WCW title at that time, I think it's between Hogan and Flair, if I'm not mistaken, in 1999. Because that's when Hollywood Hogan comes back. That's when they disband
the red and yellow, right?
Right. So while he's with the U.S. title before he gets the world title, he's branding it the way that he's doing what Lance Storm did. Instead of calling the Canadian title, he calls it the North American Championship. Kind of a lineage to the NWA North American title.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So it focuses off the U.S. side. So because he always hated the WWF as a heel and as a face, no, he acknowledged it, but he still showed more love to Canada. The next match is going to be Fall Brawl between him and Sting. And Sting costs him the North American Championship. And then whoever the next guy is, I think at that point it's either a back and forth between Booker T and I think Scott are after they went away with the TV title. I think Booker T is one of the next guys to win the U.S. title before it goes to Scott Hall. So I remember around that time, those were the guys that were going over the U.S. title once Bret dropped it. And their final match is before Starrcade, so that gives you the opportunity to crown other world champions instead of Bret, so that their face off is a submission match. Their first match, he loses it because of Jericho.
First match was a Great American Bash, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that's where he costs Jericho the cruiserweight title, so that sets up their next match at Fall Brawl. They don't get the summer match.
Yeah, because WCW never really did rematches back to back that often.
No. So then you cap it off at Starrcade instead of it being Bret versus Goldberg for the world title. We'll keep the world title on somebody else, but Sting versus Bret seems like a bigger match for Starrcade, and it's a number one contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Winner faces the world champion in a submission match between the two each, because we'll say that in the Fall Brawl match, Bret has that submission hold on Sting, but Sting's passed out. So he was knocked out, but he, like the way Austin was at WrestleMania 13, but he never tapped out.
Oh, so just passed out from the pain.
Right. Okay. So this sets up a match between Bret and Sting in a submissions only match. 30-minute, winner gets the world title shot at the January pay-per-view in 2000.
So Great American Bash, Sting goes over. Second match, submission. Fall Brawl.
But what I'm saying is that he gets Sting to pass out. He never taps out. That's why you lead it to a submission match between Bret and Sting.
And then the third one is the submission match.
Yeah, the winner of that submission match at Starrcade is the one who gets the number one contender spot in January for the World Championship.
Oh, okay. So instead of so it's more of like it started off with a title, with the singles title,
with the U.S. title, yeah.
But then it ends the rivalry with the winner getting a World Heavyweight title.
Right.
So, okay, I like that. Way better than the.
And then it focuses on what submission move was better, even though they're the same finisher.
Yeah.
Which one's more effective, the Scorpion Deathlock or the Sharpshooter?
I like that. So I like that. So who goes over on the third one?
Bret.
Okay. Nice. I want to take this time to let everyone know IAN is who I am. Like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, hit that follow button. You're listening to New Entry Wrestling Podcast. Now let's get back to this episode, baby.